Great. So thank you everybody for coming tonight to our Lawyers Happy Hour Networking and our featured presentation tonight. I know we're all interested in learning more about cryptocurrency and what that means to the legal profession. So without further ado, I want to introduce Raina Casbon-Kelts of Gilded. Raina, please take it away.
It's a pleasure meeting all of you. I really wanted today to be interactive. So I'd like you to stop me if you have questions or if there's something else that you wanted to know. I did know that there were several people here that were brand new. And so I thought I would just start off. Well, I can start off with, let's see. Oh, I have the ability to share. All right. Thanks, Thea. All right. So I just thought I would start off with my origin story. Can you guys all, you can see the slides? Do I have to, do I move this?
I think it's good.
Okay. So up in the left-hand corner, the guy that I'm in this photo with, we met while I was singing karaoke with girlfriends. I was widowed at 40, and probably 3 years later, I ended up running into him. We just had great conversation, and somewhere in our first few dates, he started telling me about new money, right? Run away. I thought he was nuts at the time. But then I started to learn about it. I started to read about it. So that was 2016, right? February 2016, as a matter of fact. He gave me $5 of Bitcoin on one of our first dates. He had me, download a wallet to my phone, I wrote down the private key on a receipt. And from there, I wanted to know more about it. I really wanted to prove him wrong because I did like him, but I wanted to know if he was crazy or not. So that was my entire reasoning behind investigating and looking into it in the beginning, was just to see what this was all about. Well, about 2 years later, everyone down here on the bottom, that is my team, and we started Gilded. So to give you a little bit of our origin story, the gentleman all the way on the right is Ken Galter. He is our brilliant engineer. He ran a cryptocurrency meetup in downtown New Orleans, actually uptown New Orleans, sorry. And we would go there to talk to him about it, because he was one of those people who they understand the technology so intimately that they can explain it to anyone. So he can have the same conversation, or he can have a conversation with coders and developers about the intricacies of the blockchain, and then turn around and explain it to me and my significant other, who at the time when we started going to these meetups, we were the oldest and dumbest people in the room. That's what we felt like the entire time. But it was what intrigued me about it, and what developed or turned into my passion for the space, was the fact that, number one, if we all live in the United States. Well, I'm sorry, I know there's someone from outside the US here, but for the most part, as an American, we have access to any and every type of financial service on the planet, right? All of the best of it. But what we kind of don't realize until you see the more global picture is that, we are the 1%. There are 7.5 billion people, or 7 billion people on the planet approximately, and most of them do not have access to what we have access to. So when you think about your bank account, right, in order to get a bank account, first of all, you need identification, you need money, right, to put in the bank, because if you don't have any money, you can't open a bank account. And so what most people don't realize is that excludes a lot of people, even in the US, but overseas and around the world, it excludes a much larger part of the population. And what Bitcoin, what its original idea was behind is that people who don't have money and don't have a bank account, they can't participate in global commerce on the internet. So what I mean by that is, when you get on any website, you want to buy something. But what about if the money that you get paid in every week or every day or every month, nobody wants it? Well, that occurs for people all over the world. They have no access to banks. Maybe the closest bank is 800 miles away. That's the reality. And for lots of places in India, for instance, in Africa as well, some people use cell phone minutes as currency. And so that really is what is the driving force for me, as I'm driven by the mission of crypto. And so aside from that, I know you guys didn't come in to talk about that, to hear me talk about that today, but that, just so you know, that for everything that I've done and everything that I'm doing now in crypto, that is my driving force. That's my mission, is to bank the unbanked people. And for us as Americans, if we bring another 6 billion people on the planet into global commerce on the internet, that's more money for everyone. Right? That is more, we can build wealth in places that have never had it before. And at the same time, everything that we already do on the internet, sell, buy, is just increased by just having more people involved in it. So not that all of those people have internet yet, but a huge portion of them do have internet. Can you imagine getting on the internet every day and you can look, but you can't do anything. You can't buy anything. You can't sell anything because you don't have a way to do that. You don't have a bank account to receive money, and you don't have money that anyone wants to take for you to spend. So, beyond that, for the new people, I just wanted to start off with a basic introduction to Bitcoin. So most people, Bitcoin is more than just one thing. It's more than the cryptocurrency that you hear about. And really the part of Bitcoin that most people don't know about unless they're in the industry is Bitcoin, the technology. So Bitcoin is the blockchain first. So Bitcoin is at this point in time the most secure network the world has ever known. Bitcoin solved a problem called the Byzantine generals problem, and that is basically the double spend. Right? No one has ever done that before without an intermediary. And for us, the intermediary is a bank. And the technology behind it really is what makes people ask, well, what gives it value? Why does it have value? Well, it's the technology underpinning Bitcoin that has the value. The Bitcoin, the currency, or the asset itself, that's what 99% of the people that you'll talk to, that's what they're talking about every day, is a Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is at its basic code on the internet. But what it enables you to own something on the internet, and it's provably digital and it's traceable. So you have Bitcoin, the network, which is a decentralized network, not unlike the internet. Then you have a token, Bitcoin, which is exchangeable, tradable. And then you have the blockchain, which is a ledger that tracks the movement of every Bitcoin that comes into play. So new Bitcoins come into the world via a process called mining. And some people think of it as complicated. Mining is something that we associate maybe with gold, people digging in the ground. But this sort of mining, it's more along the lines of game theory. So computers all over the world compete every 10 minutes to solve a complicated math problem. I won't go into the math. And the one computer that wins, they are awarded new Bitcoins. That's how new Bitcoins come into circulation. So we talk about moving Bitcoins around, and that's done with software. So this is where it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Anyone can download an app on their phone and begin receiving Bitcoin as payment today. There's no signing up, waiting period, or in many cases having to drive, whatever, or travel 800 miles to the nearest bank to try to qualify for a bank account. This is software. It's not unlike the internet in the early days. It's not easy to use, but it's getting easier every day. It's much easier than when I started in 2016. That's for sure. And I kind of don't want to keep talking forever without opening up for questions, because that's kind of a lot already. So does anyone have any questions? Questions? All
Yes,
right.
just I see Laden was coming off mute. There she goes.
Okay. All
I
right.
double booked myself. Hi, and wanted to ask you real quick if I could just, I'll probably contact you directly to get more information about this as well. But what I don't get is how it like originally begins, like the transaction, right? So I mean, I had a bunch of blockchain information explained to me and all that, but I'm the person in Africa, and I've put like, where's that initial like $5 that Jason gave you in Bitcoin? Where does that come from this person? I just don't get that part.
So once you have a wallet, then you can accept crypto for payment, right? And like you don't, I mean, you can download the wallet and it doesn't have anything in it.
Okay, but what about
you can immediately accept
it into money? Like I have $100 in my bank account that I want to convert. That just, you put it into the wallet, that the sort of transaction changes from Bitcoin or from money to Bitcoin. Like that's where I'm trying. The initial money I don't get.
Okay, so if you have initial money, then you would go to an exchange.
Okay.
For that. Here in the US, Coinbase is an FDIC insured regulated exchange where you can connect your bank account, and then you can exchange that for a multiple assets, not just Bitcoin, but
excellent. I wish I didn't have to run. This is really all very fascinating, but I'll be in touch with you. Dea, thank you for introducing me to this group and this concept. This is great.
You're welcome. Come anytime.
You can reach out anytime. I love talking about this. It's what I talk about all day, every day, and I love talking about it.
Most importantly, are you still with Jason?
I am still with Jason.
All right.
Yes.
Not most importantly.
Over 5 years now. Yes.
Oh, yay.
And he's awesome.
Right.
That was in Biloxi just a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So any other questions? All right. So I didn't really touch too much on it, but lots of people like to know more about the blockchain, right? So blockchain is a time-stamped ledger. Every Bitcoin that's ever been in existence. So people think of Bitcoin and they talk about sending Bitcoin back and forth. Well, Bitcoins don't move. They're just computer code. So they reside on the internet. They're part of a protocol. So the way that they move is they just change ownership. So this wallet, right? So I've downloaded wallet software. Jason gave me $5 of Bitcoin. Well, the way that happens is his wallet digitally signs ownership of $5 at the time worth of Bitcoin to my wallet, which has my own private key and digital signature. So that's A wallet in Bitcoin is actually just a key store, more like a keychain, right? Should have been called that. So it stores a private key that enables the software to digitally sign over ownership of a Bitcoin or a piece of a Bitcoin to another wallet address. So whoever has that private key owns that Bitcoin. And the blockchain is how you track who owns what Bitcoin. Except it's not a who. It's a long string of letters and numbers. Because every Bitcoin wallet address or Ethereum wallet address, any crypto wallet address is just a series of letters and numbers. So every movement of every transaction is recorded on the ledger. That's what miners do. They add new transactions to the ledger. But more importantly, it is pseudo-anonymous. Lots of people, if you've heard that, people talk about Bitcoin being anonymous. Bitcoin is actually the absolute worst way to launder money. Because at some point in time, especially now and for the foreseeable future, eventually you want a government issued currency, whether that's US dollars, British pounds, what have you. You want that currency. And as soon as you want to trade a Bitcoin that you've laundered, right, or that you've obtained illegally some kind of way, as soon as you want a government issued currency for that Bitcoin, your name is now forever attached to every movement of that asset since its inception. So early on, maybe Bitcoin was a good way to launder money because no one knew about it. But now everyone in every government knows what it is, and there's someone, and probably more than one, that know how to get that data from the blockchain and trace it back to you as soon as you have to submit your ID to get a fiat currency in exchange for that Bitcoin. So I'd like to just stomp out that that whole thought process of it's a good way to launder money. It absolutely is not. The Bitcoin blockchain is a time-stamped data storage architecture. Each new block of transactions is added to the blockchain. It contains a hash is not a word that is common in everyday language, but it contains a piece of the block before it. And so that's the immutability part, the can't be copied. So once the blocks are added one after the other, then it becomes impossible for the blocks previous to that to be changed without changing every subsequent block. And every block, and there's a new block every 10 minutes. So the odds of someone being able to change data that is more than 2 blocks back is impossible. Mostly because it behooves them to do it the right way. It's much more profitable to be a good actor in crypto and blockchain, especially with Bitcoin, than it is to attempt to change data in the blockchain, on the blockchain. So I know that was maybe a little cattywampus. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer that here or offline. I suggest everyone at least read the first page of the Bitcoin white paper. And I'll really quick run through a couple of slides that I prepared just to talk to you guys a little bit about my company. Cedric's waiting in the waiting room, Thea. I got that. Okay. All right. So you guys may or might not know, but blockchain and cryptocurrency are here to stay. Chase Bank, PayPal, you've seen it in the news. There's more news coming out every day. And recently, the Office of the Controller of the Currency has issued guidance for stable coins, and that banks are actually able to custody stable coins. So what Gilded is doing, so currently data is siloed. So you have company A, they sell something to company B. Each company has their accounting system, and they have a copy of everything. The internet is the biggest copy machine on the planet, right? So with blockchain, sending transactions, the companies or the ledgers of each company are connected by the transaction, right? The transaction that rides on the blockchain. So that transaction is now your central source of truth. And really what I wanted you to think about with this slide was just that, think about the fraud. This minimizes and prevents a lot of fraud that we see today. Okay. So what we do at Gilded is we connect businesses to blockchain. We help accountants, auditors, even regulators understand the data that goes into the data from the blockchain, and we assist the businesses in getting that information into solutions and tools that they use today. Just an example of something that a problem that we've solved. When companies are trying to incorporate this data, sometimes the ROI isn't there because there's such a learning curve. And so we help automate those processes. We can automatically detect payments because the blockchain gives us a unique identifier for each payment. So now instead of having one account number, you can have an infinite number of accounts that all are based off of this one private key. And if you want more information about that, I won't go into too much detail because there's a lot of detail behind it. But what Gilded can do is automatically detect payments and reconcile those invoices for your business. This is what's going on in our company right now. The growth is unbelievable. We are hiring. We are bothering our attorney on the weekends to help us with more complicated contracts and things of that nature. But through January, February, and March, Q1 of 2021, we have surpassed all of the volume that we did in 2020. And so that's how fast this is taking off. And that's why it's my personal opinion that everyone should learn about it. Because once businesses begin using this technology, then there's so many things that you can save time, save money, and not automate away accounting, because we have a CFO, he's a CPA. We're not trying to automate away accounting, but what we can do is make accountants can be more consultative. There's the word. This is our vision, Stripe for DeFi. Most people think of Stripe as a credit card processor, but it does much more. Right now, this is where we live, right? Invoicing, accounting, and subscription payments. And these are some of the things that we'll be doing in the future. And April 21st through 23rd, I will be a keynote speaker at the Miami Crypto Experience. We'd love to have you there. And if you have any more questions about it, you can reach out to me anytime. I'd love to talk to you. And that's it for me. Thank you, Daya. Was that too long? I hope not. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, let's just come off mute. In fact, I'll stop the recording. That way, if anybody wants to ask any questions that they don't want recorded. So bidding adieu to my recording guests.